Hi guys, it's Anne here, and today's video is my final update for my Pan That palette in 2020. So what I've been doing for this project is I've been doing a Pan That palette, plus I've been doing like a monthly Shop My Stash, so going through various palettes in my collection and using them each month. So what I'll do is I'll go over the palette that I've been panning all year, and then I'll just talk about the palettes that I used in the month of December. So the palette that I've been trying to pan all year is the NYX Ultimate Shadow palette in warm neutrals, and progress is good, but not quite what I'd hoped for. So I'll talk about that. I was working on this shadow here and this shadow here to try and hit pan. I hit pan on this one. Yay! Obviously did not hit pan on this one. Boo! So a little sad about that. And like the dip in this one is so big. Like it's huge. And like I feel like I'm so close. It's not quite the end of December. I'm gonna continue using it until I hit pan on this. Just because I need to hit pan on this to like satisfy myself. I don't know if I'll declutter this palette just yet, but it definitely is on it's like a chop and block type palette. Like I won't hang on to this much longer. I might try and depot a couple of the colors that I'd like to keep. And yeah, so again, overall though, really happy with my progress on this. My palette from last year, I think only had 9 shadows in it, and I think I hit pan on maybe 2. Like I did horrible last year. So this is a lot better. The fact that I finished 2, this one's almost finished. This has like a really good sized pan, and so does this one. A couple of these like I know I'd never hit pan on. It just is what it is. But yeah, overall, really, really happy with this. Apologies if you can hear, I think there's like a plane or something flying around. Last month this was 96.22 grams. It is now 95.96 grams. That's a difference of 0.6 grams. So that's like my lowest, not the lowest. I did the same in January and I did 0.25 in August. So like it's on the bottom of how much I use per month. But overall, I've used 5.67 grams of this. So I'm pretty happy with that. Like I feel like I did a really good job. Like I picked a palette that was usable. I think that's part of it, is picking a palette that's easy to use and using it. Like, sounds really stupid, but I feel like I needed to have a plan. And having the plan this year of like panning this but then working in other palettes really kind of helped keep things alive, because it gets real boring. Like it gets real boring just using one palette. I don't know how. I know there's some people that just power through and pan like an entire palette and they don't really use any other eyeshadows. I can't do that. I cannot do that, and it will not happen. So that's my Project Pan That palette update. Just do a little quick update with the palettes that I've been using over the past month. So I did have 2 face palettes in here. This one is the e.l.f. Called Beautifully Bare Total Face Palette, Soft and Subtle. I'd never seen this anywhere. I don't know how easily it is to get. It's a very neutral type palette, which was kind of nice to use. I used it a handful of times. It's a really easy palette to use. This really is only ever going to work for like light, fair to light. Like I don't even know if a medium, maybe a medium could get away with using this, but it's a nice, easy to use palette. So if you're looking for something that is not very pigmented and is easy for everyday use and you're fair to light, I think you'll really like this. I think too, if you're more warm toned, you might like this a little bit more. And the other one was the Film Star Bronze and Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. This one always surprises me. The shadow, or the powders in here don't look very intense, but I find like this bronzer, this sculpt powder, you kind of have to be careful with it. It can get a little intense, and the highlighter is quite nice too. I think the highlighter is a bit more of a natural type highlighter, to be honest, compared to the like how intense this is. But yeah, this is a nice little palette. I would recommend this again for anybody that's fair to, again, I don't know if medium, like a light medium can get away with this. I really wish, I don't know if she even has a deeper tone in this. This is the problem with Charlotte Tilbury. I'm getting real washed out here. It's getting a little bright. This is the problem with Charlotte Tilbury that I don't like, is her products are not very inclusive. Let's just leave it at that. They're not inclusive. But if this works for your skin tone, I recommend getting it. If it's in your affordability wheelhouse. There is a mini version now, which is, I kind of wish I waited and bought the mini version. But yeah, this is definitely like, if you don't have a lot of makeup and you're looking for like a good, like, I mean, this is great for travel. It is a bit pricey, but I definitely feel like this is the hype is real with this type of product. For eyeshadow palettes, I used the Too Faced Natural Lust palette. This palette I used a lot this month, I feel like. I just was really enjoying playing with this. There's a lot of colors in it, or a lot of shadows in this. It's not very colorful. You're gonna get basically the same kind of look. You can maybe do a couple different looks, like if you pull in this color up here, or these colors down here, but it's always gonna look fairly similar. But yeah, I really enjoy this palette. Again, I feel like if you come across this palette and you're looking for a neutral palette that you can wear pretty much every day, and it has a couple of things that you might want to play with and experiment with, this is definitely worth it. I mean, I think I paid a little too much for it. And I got it on sale at Winners. I think I paid $40 for it. That's probably the max I would pay for this palette, but I definitely think it's worth it if you do come across it. It's the Natural Lust. I originally wanted I think it's called the Natural palette. There's another one that's like exactly like this in terms of style, but it's like much more, Natural Love, that's what it's called. And that was the one that I originally wanted, but I'm actually glad I have this because I think this has a bit more depth to it than that palette. So you're gonna get more usability out of it. This little palette has kind of surprised me. It's actually really good. The shadows in here are really, really good. It's a I Heart Revolution palette. I don't have anything else. I don't even think I have any products from them. They're not very easy to get here. I think Shoppers Drug Mart now has them. Some stuff available on their website, and then some stores have it, but I know at least the one store close to me does not have it. I need to check. There's another Shoppers Drug Mart near me that has different products, like they have a different layout, so I should check and see if they have it, because they had Pacifica stuff before my closer Shoppers Drug Mart, which now has Pacifica. So Shoppers Drug Mart also has Pacifica now. So anyway, this little palette, I mean, it's super cute. I showed close-ups of it in my last video with there are little penguins in there. And then these are the shadows. And again, I talked about like these colors. I feel like it's like the middle shadow that throws me off a little bit, because I'm, again, not a super warm tone person, but like I really like using these two. Basically the colors I really like are these two. I created a lot of really nice looks with just those two shadows, and then mixing, one or two other colors from something else, like from another palette, because they're matte. And yeah, like they're very, very pigmented. The only thing that's like kind of a dud is sort of this black. It's not a black, it's a very like muted black, which is not a bad thing. Like I say dud, but it's not dud. Like if you're looking for a black, it's not very black. But if you're looking for a shadow that's easy to use to deepen other shadows, then something like this is actually, you don't want a super pigmented black, if you know what I mean. So, and I don't think I've used the white at all, but I guess the white can be used to lighten. This white, I had white in another palette, and I don't know how to use it, like a matte white. I need to learn a little bit more about how to use a matte white. Like obviously you can use it to lighten, but it's something I just don't really ever use. But yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with the pigmentation and the quality of these. For the price of this, I paid $4.99 for it, and it's just so gosh darn super cute. And then the other palette, of course, that I kept out was the Natasha Denona Glam palette. Not going to belabor the point on this. Everybody's talked about it. The more I use this, the more I like it. I think, especially when I first looked at it, I mean, it's still very same, and you're kind of like, but the more you play with it, the more you see the differences. Like, it is a very cool tone palette, but you still have this, like, really gold shade in here that can really warm it up. And yeah, I like it. I did pull out 3 singles. These are the L'Oreal Infallible shadows. I love these. I would buy more of these. I don't know, again, depends on what colors there are, but I would definitely buy more of these if they're colors I'm interested in. This one is in 888 Ice Latte. So there's that color. It's a nice like light champagne color. This one is in 890 Bronze Taupe. Again, a really nice bronzy color. These are great one and dones. And then this one, I'm actually wearing this one today. This is 892 Amber Rush. So I'm wearing this today with my project pan, particularly this shadow right here, which is kind of like a burgundy brown. It's a very warm brown, and for some reason I decided to pair that with that Amber Rush shade, and I was like, why didn't I do that sooner? I really liked how it turned out. Today's look didn't turn out quite as good as the first time I tried it, but it was like, I don't know why I never thought of that color combination. Now, I'll be honest, I normally use these like as a one and done, so I use this one as a one and done, the Amber Rush, and then this one I often use just as a topper, and this one again is a one and done for me. And I need to like play with this more with other shadows. I don't know why I don't do that. It's like you forget that you can use a product in more than one way, but you tend to gravitate towards using it in the same way every time. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at how that turned out. So that is my Pan That Palette 2020 final update. Yeah, I am pretty pleased with myself, to be honest, that I did a pretty good job on the Pan That Palette. I will definitely be doing a Pan That Palette for 2021. I've already got the palette picked out, so that video will be coming up in the new year. And I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently, though. I won't be doing a combination of this sort of like Shop My Stash with the Pan That Palette. I'm going to actually I'm going to start anyway next year doing some Shop My Stash videos. I have my new drawers. If you watch my little den makeover, I have my new drawers. So I'm excited to shop my stash a little bit more, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. I like how Leia does it with like the roulette of her palettes. I don't know if I'll do that. I'm a bit nervous of it picking things I really don't want to use, but I definitely think I'm gonna do a similar thing. What I did this year was like, if I pick something, then that's it. Like I won't pick it again. I'll pick something else. Yeah, I've already done an inventory, so I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, so there's a lot to go through. But anyway, that's my update. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked this little project. I hope it was motivating for you to maybe do a little Pan That Palette stuff and get some good use out of your eyeshadows. If you did do a Pan That Palette, let me know how your project went this year, and if you're planning on doing it next year, and if you're doing it next year, what palette you're picking. I'd like to know. You can always wait. You don't need to tell me now. I know I'm waiting to tell you what palette, although if you've watched my previous videos, you can probably guess. You have a good 50-50 guess of what palette it's going to be if you look at some of my previous videos. Anyway, hope you liked this video. If you did, feel free to give it a little thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my tiny little channel here in Toronto, Canada. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.